Right, hello everyone. This is it's a very exciting day today because I've got Varsha with me. Hi, Varsha.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Varsha is a specialist on nutrition, and for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is one of the Link for Growth soundbite interviews, which is essentially taking from the pool, this wide pool of experience and knowledge that we've got within Link for Growth, and actually sharing some real expert advice, guidance, some interesting experience of someone's life, or anything really that people want to stand up and sort of share with the people in Link for Growth. So today, as I said, we've got Varsha. Now Varsha is she's going to give us now a little bit of a potted history about how on earth has she ended up doing nutrition.
All right, sounds good. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. And so my background with history with nutrition is that I've always been fascinated with health and well-being. Initially wanted to go to medical school, become a GP, whatnot. Then over the years, I realized that medication, pharmaceuticals, they only mask the symptoms, they only give you temporary relief, but it doesn't really ever cure you or heal you of your pain. So then I went off, studied physiology and health and Ayurveda, and during all my health courses, one of the courses was pathophysiology, so basically learning diseases and how they work in our bodies, what you can do about them. And I realized that prevention is preferable to cure. So it's always easier to stay healthy than it is to heal yourself. Not to say that healing yourself is impossible, but yet it has its own challenges. So that's when I really got fascinated into the value of healing foods. And so I went back to school, got my master's in health education and in nutrition. So because I really, really honestly believe that a balanced meal plan, a balanced nutrition can heal you out of any physical or any bodily ailments that you may have, because we are what we eat. And science backs me up on that. So,
Right. So how long have you actually been, if you like, practicing nutritional advice as a nutritionist? How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for about 5 years,
Okay.
mostly in the States. I've been in the UK for the last 1 year, 3 months or so,
Right.
practicing here. Yeah.
Excellent. I remember talking to someone a little while back, and they said that, and taking something that you just said there, which strikes a real chord with me, is that it's easier to stay healthy than it is to cure yourself once you've got sick. And it's almost like we're piloting this plane, which is our body, and we've got a destination wherever that happens to be. And if you take an aircraft, for example, actually it's never on target until it lands in its destination, and it's constantly going off track a little bit. And actually, nutrition and health is all about just recognizing that you've gone slightly off track, and just
Yeah.
just making some really small changes and bringing yourself back on stream again, rather than when you get sick, it's like your body said, "I've had enough." Basically, you've not taken my advice and guidance, and you've just ignored me. So I'm going to make you sick.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it is. We all deviate off track. Even the healthiest, quote unquote, healthiest person in the world will deviate every now and then off track. But then you just come back on track. But that slight deviation creates that flexibility in health to make our immune systems more resilient to disease, makes our
Right.
digestive system stronger as well. So in a way, it's kind of good to deviate, not all the time, but just slightly deviate off track every now and then. It's
Yeah.
like you may need to tackle turbulence or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand. Now, I mean, one of the things that always, I mean, I mean, I've got a bit of an interest. I'm a happy amateur when it comes to nutrition, but I speak to nutritionists because I'm interested. I'm interested
Right.
because, we've only got one life. This is our body. If we mistreat it and it lets us down because we've done something to it which we shouldn't have done, then we've only got ourselves to blame. So it's in our own interests to show to actually find out a little bit more about what we can do to help keep ourselves fit and healthy. But you mentioned about medical school earlier, and one thing that I've learned, and this is not by asking thousands of doctors, it's just by being told by some doctors or people who know doctors, that they actually spend very little time at medical school studying nutrition, like a few days, no more than that. And yet surely what we put in our mouths is like so important. It deserves a bit more than 3 days in 4 years, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think one of the things is that over the years, as Western medicine or modern medicine has advanced, it does have its resources, or it does have its as well, in a sense where, it's great for cases, cancer survival, so forth, because medication in that sense is very important in life and death.
Yeah.
But I think we've all gotten into this world of pills are the solution. So all the doctors are being educated in terms of what kind of pills do you give, what kind of chemical balances do you want to achieve, rather than what kind of nutritional balances do you want to achieve. And we're into this pill popping culture. Pharmaceuticals rule the world right now in terms of health. And so nutrition isn't given importance. And then beyond that, with GP, you get maybe maximum of 10 minutes with your GP, which is not nearly enough time to educate patients about what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat, how food combinations, any of that. So maybe we need more GPs in a large number to tackle all the people that live in the UK to handle their nutrition.
Or maybe, which is something that Link for Growth is all about, is essentially allowing people to be exposed to this kind of conversation so that people are able to make a few better choices. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Right, yeah. Because even if you go to a GP and they say you have an iron deficiency, they'll tell you to, take an iron supplement than rather to eat things like spinach or almonds, which are very high in iron. So it's like GPs don't take that extra moment, that one extra second to say, eat foods high in spinach.
Yeah. Have these pills instead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just as a side issue, but I know people who have a lot of headaches, and it's like you take this Anodin or take this paracetamol, it will sort your problem out. But actually, what your body's saying is I'm dehydrated in very many cases. Yeah. And actually, the bit that does the most good is the bit of water they drink with the tablet, not actually the tablet itself.
Exactly. I once had a doctor actually tell me that they feel that paracetamol is just a placebo, really, because it's the only way you can get the patient to drink water sometimes is by swallowing tablets.
Crazy. Now, here's an interesting thing, and I don't know whether it's true, but I heard the other day something like 80% of our body is replaced every 6 months or so. So essentially the cell regeneration, the dying cells are replaced by new cells, etc., etc. And obviously what we replace these cells that have died with is new cells that we've created using food that we've eaten or drinks that we've drunk. So is that right? Is that right that, but when you said earlier on, we are what we eat, quite literally, we are what we eat. Yeah,
but to break that 80% down even further, somewhere around 50 million new cells are created every minute. So old ones are dying, new ones are being created. And we have hundreds and trillions of cells going around in our body at any given moment, probably beyond the trillions. Yeah. So if each second cells are being replaced, and each minute what we do influences how we feel, how we behave, because our cells are underlying function. Our intestinal cells, for example, they're regenerated at least once a week, for example. Sure. So if they're regenerated once a week, it's all due to what we're eating, how much we're eating. So if we're eating the wrong foods, then our intestinal cells aren't reproducing at the level they should be, or they're reproducing slightly damaged, and so they don't have their full function, which could lead to, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, IBS, and so forth. So it comes down to what we eat reflects what our cells are made of, and our cells reflect how we feel, even how we look. Our skin replaces about every 4 weeks to 3 months.
Yes, I mean, it really is. It is vital, isn't it? I mean, it's so important, and I guess that's why people who do have a more of a healthy diet, I guess, are likely to basically, I don't know, feel better, look better, and be able to perform better, I guess.
Yeah,
I suppose
definitely.
it's no mystery, I guess, that people who are successful, okay, they can afford to have a personal trainer, or they can afford to do. I mean, I don't suppose actually eating healthy is that much more expensive. To be honest, I think that's a bit of a myth. We might get time to talk about that, but people who actually have to perform at a high level constantly, it's in their interest to obviously take care of themselves, because they can't do it if they're not following the rules, as it were.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's quite easy to eat healthy, and it's not that challenging.
Mm.
So it's a matter of doing it, because it is. What we eat is how we feel, and when we eat well, you have greater mental clarity, more focus, you do better at work, and you're right, you look younger as well. So if you want an anti-aging remedy, eat well.
Now, here's an interesting one then. Now, obviously, vegans and vegetarianists, or whatever you call them, these people, there's quite a bit of controversy, certainly with this horse meat thing going on, and you can't trust what you're buying and all this. There's been a lot of sort of publicity around vegans and vegetarians, it, you know, have you got to make such a massive leap? I mean, most people, including me, and I suspect including you, like we lead busy lives. We're here and there. We haven't got time to necessarily go and change everything that we do, because we're brought up, in a certain way to eat certain things, and we kind of get into a routine of basically having those things available to us, and we just kind of go along, and life's easy, and we're kind of fixed in the way we live. So, I mean, is eating healthy going like the whole way, going to be a vegan or vegetarian or something like that, or is there some kind of halfway house, or what's your advice there? What would you say?
Well, I'm not against vegetarianism or being vegan, but I don't think it's always necessary either. Personally, I eat all the lean meats. I don't eat red meats, but I'll still eat chicken, turkey, I have fish. But it's a balance between the types of meats you eat, or if you're not eating meat, are you still getting all your nutrients? A lot of vegetarians, and especially those who are vegan, don't get their B vitamins like B6 or B12. They miss out on their omegas, and unless if they know that they can get them from things like flax seeds or almonds, cashews, things like that. So if they don't have the balance, then neither system works.
Right.
So you can't go one extreme or the other, because on their own they're not sufficient enough to keep you going, to keep your energy levels up.
Okay, so is there something in like meat then that, for example, that you just literally cannot get anywhere else? Is there like some kind of amino acid thingy? I don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, but is there something there that you can only get from meat that you can't get from being a vegetarian or a vegan?
Well, in one sense, yes, but in another sense, no. So there's 22 essentially amino acids that we need to consume through food. Like if you have eggs, for example, you get all 22 of them. And you do get most everything from meat itself, but most of the concern lies not in each of the single amino acid. It lies in the overall protein content, iron content, some of the B vitamins, because they're harder to find in vegetarian sources.
Right.
So you can actually get all the nutrients that you need being vegetarian and by being vegan as you can by having meat. But it's a little bit more complex for vegetarians. So if you're a vegetarian, you have to make sure you eat enough beans, enough pulses, legumes, nuts and seeds. Whereas if you're a meat eater, you could probably get away without eating so many nuts and seeds. So it's a balance, but really you can get every nutrient you need in either which way.
Right, okay. Now, here's another one that I know I get asked quite often because, I've been doing this 6 pack in 6 months and people have been saying, okay, what supplements have you been having? And to be honest, I don't like pills, right? I don't have any pills in the house. So if I get a headache, I deal with it in a different way. I just don't like pills. So, and for me, supplements is just a whole new load of pills and I don't like pills. So is it, are supplements essential, or is it only if you're trying to achieve a certain, like somebody trying to do bodybuilding, for example? I know they take a lot of protein shakes and supplements and stuff like that. I'm against doing that. I think that I should eat a bit more protein, or I should do it in a natural way if I can, because I just think that's got to be better for you than supplements, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Food in itself is always better than supplements. In one of my nutrition books, there's a quote saying that we eat food, we don't eat nutrients.
Yeah.
So nutrients, they work synergistically. They work together. Like you can take a vitamin D supplement on its own and it'll give you the nutrient. But you can't take calcium on its own. If you're taking calcium on its own, you need to take vitamin D with it. So there's a lot of compatibility and synergy issues that revolve around supplementing. Right. Or like going back to iron again, taking an only iron supplement can lead to constipation. But if you have spinach, which is high in iron, it's also high in fiber, which leads to prevent the constipation.
Okay.
So I don't recommend supplements for a long period of time. I only use it initially if it needs to be to help reach the health goals or put you on the right path. But long-term use, I don't believe in popping pills. Even in sports nutrition, I often give shake recipes, so using almond butter, almond soy milk sometimes, different nut combinations, different lentils, legumes, blending it together. Why not? Make it yourself. You get more nutrients out of it as well.
Yeah, no, excellent. Now, I like to think I eat fairly well, but I get a lot of people. They'll go on something like this Atkins diet, which is all like meat and stuff, and then you get other people. They say, "Oh, I'm just doing vegetarian. I'm eating all this fruit, and I must be doing really well." Well, clearly here we're talking about extremes. What would you say represents a balanced diet? What would be a balanced diet? What sort of things would you eat?
Well, balanced diet is usually anywhere between 50 to 70% carbohydrates, which doesn't just include breads and pastas. It also includes your fruits, your vegetables, and whole grains. So it's a variety of carbohydrates. 15 to 30% protein, depending what kind of health results you're trying to achieve. And then 10 to 20% healthy fats. So that includes like olive oil, avocados, fish. So because fish is protein and healthy oils or healthy fats all together. I feel like you need all three at any given time, because if you have a diet too high in protein, your body's working harder to get the energy it needs.
Right.
Because, protein does also have an energy source as well, but your body has to work almost twice, if not even harder, to extract the nutrients to turn it into energy, whereas carbohydrates are a more efficient way to get your energy, and they also have more of the essential vitamins that protein sometimes may not have.
Yeah. Okay. So a good basket of food really is.
Yeah. And then like if you're eyeballing your plate or you look at your meals throughout the week, ensure you have a rainbow of colors. So you don't have to have a rainbow of colors every day, but within 1 week span, you should, basically eat something that's red, orange, yellow, green, purple. I don't think there's anything blue, but you basically get all the colors within a week, which ensures that you got a variety of nutrients throughout the week that you need.
Well, maybe that's a good way for people to sort of relate to it, to sort of like think of the food as colours and instead of instead of just things on their plate, so to
Yeah.
speak. Now, I've heard a lot, and I know you and I have had a conversation about this before, which is diet drinks. Now, I used to buy Diet Coke. I've not been a big Coke drinker, by the way, and I can't remember the last time I had any Coke anyway now. But but yeah, there's a problem with sugar anyway, and the fact that there's far too much sugar in people's diets, and a lot of it's hidden from us, and we don't even know it's there. But we've also got this problem of sugar replacement, which I've heard reading an article the other week that actually can cause more problems for us than actually the sugar that would be there in normally.
Right. Yeah. So maybe I'll address the sugar first, and then I'll address the
Yeah,
diet
yeah.
drinks. So sugar in itself, in its pure form, is not actually terrible for you. It's in excessive amounts, yes, it's awful. You shouldn't. It's only something that should be consumed in moderation. Artificial sweeteners, on the other hand, that's awful for you, basically. There's new studies coming about how they're potentially carcinogenic. They can lead to DNA mutation, cancer. But on day-to-day levels, artificial sweeteners especially, and too much sugar can also do this, is that it can lead to nutrient deficiencies because it leaches the calcium off your bones, for example. It prevents the absorption of like your essential fatty acids, which can wear down your joints. And so as you get older, you see these things happening, not when you're young, it's when you get older.
Yeah.
But it also leads to, diabetes, heart disease, kidney failures, autoimmune conditions, you name it. It all happens, and one of the culprits is sugar. It's not the only culprit, but one of it is, especially with obesity.
Yeah. I mean, then they put loads of it in this in pre-prepared foods as well. And
Yeah.
the other thing is obviously salt as well. I mean, I know there's been a real, harden of the arteries, all this stuff which we've heard over the years. And now people have kind of got aware that sodium, or that's the other word for salt, that those things are being present in food in high, as well as fats, which, those things, people are looking at the labels now and they're saying, oh, hang on, that's got a lot of salt in it, I better not buy that. But, there's a lot of people that don't look at those things as well. But, what's wrong with salt? I thought when I was a young lad, when I was young, they said, oh, don't have too much sugar, but you definitely need some salt because salt, salt's good for you. But I understand now that salt is not always salt. There's a few types of salt.
Right. Well, first of all, sodium and salt are different. So salt is sodium chloride.
Right.
So when you read any packaging or any labels that say how much sodium it is, you have to actually multiply it by about 2.5 times, and that's the actual salt content. So daily, the NHS says that you shouldn't have more than about 6 grams of salt. For some people that may still be excessive, some people it's just about right. But we need salt. Especially the sodium in salt, because other than the fact that sodium's an electrolyte, so it helps us stay hydrated, but it also helps with like brain functioning, balancing enzyme levels. It's good for the digestion, and it helps with muscle contractions as well. And oftentimes when you drink a lot of water and it just seems like the water's passing straight through you, it just doesn't seem to quench your thirst, it's usually a sign that your body doesn't have enough salt, because salt is what also absorbs the water and allows all your cells to become hydrated. So with that said, too much salt is also bad for you. So you need to find the right balance, because too much salt can lead to, feeling bloated, passing gas, kidney disease, and of course, we all know it's high blood pressure and heart disease. But you definitely need salt. You can't live without salt, because it also prevents you from metabolizing the sugar that you eat.
Right. Oh, okay. Now, let's just picture a typical family. Both the parents are working, and and you know, we're talking to you here, and you're saying you should be doing this, you should be doing that, right? These are not normal. In the past, maybe people have just picked up their diet from the parents that they, you know, and the parents had a Chinese every other, you know, once a week, a pizza come drifting in, and then they had this and they had that, and all they're doing is carrying on the process that they were, if you like, conditioned with. And then you come along and you say, no, you should be doing that, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and there's all these extra considerations, and suddenly, wow, this is well more complicated than it was. And it's like, I don't have the time to mess about. I just need to get something from the shelf, throw it in a microwave, turn it on to like 4 minutes, and it's piping hot, and hey, everyone's full up anyway, so what the heck. We've got to break that mold, haven't we?
Yes, of course. But the beauty of the world now is that as people are becoming more conscious about their health, more health conscious products are coming out. So if you're having pasta on a regular basis, for example, which is usually, you know, your regular normal pasta is refined carbohydrates, which means it's high in sugars, not good for digestion, and so forth. But what you can do is substitute that for rice and quinoa-based pasta.
Right.
A much healthier alternative.
Oh, okay.
For example, instead of buying like pork sausages, you can now buy chicken sausages, for example.
Right.
So there's always substitutes available. It's just a matter of knowing which substitutes are out there. And if you go places like As Nature Intended, Whole Foods, even some of the Holland and Barrett's, they'll have the alternative, you know, foods that you can buy that are, you know, preservative free, no hidden ingredients, organic, natural, and so forth. But even with that said, you can find recipes where you can make a meal for a family of 4 in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's
I
finding
mean,
recipes.
It's a huge topic, this nutrition, and one that I'm, you know, personally, I'm fascinated with. I know, but I know also that it's like when people first go start talking about nutrition, it's just such a it just seems like it's such a big topic that it's almost like it's too big for people to kind of get their heads around. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just before we finish, have you got like 2 or 3 simple tips that you could give someone that just kind of maybe starts their journey? Because that's what, you know, progress is sticking one foot in front of another. Every journey just starts with a small step, doesn't it? So what advice could you give?
Well, my first advice would be to keep your digestion strong, because digestion helps keep your immune system strong and keeps all your other systems of the body strong and healthy. So my first tip, which I recommend to anyone and everyone, is start your morning off with some hot water. Okay. So you wake up, brush your teeth, and drink at least 1 cup of hot water. If you want a little bit of flavor to it, add some lemon, but at least 1 cup of hot water to start your day. Actually wake you up and warm you up better than coffee will.
Okay.
So that's my #1 recommendation. My second recommendation would be, which is also great for weight loss as well, is eating smaller meals throughout the day. So eating smaller portions about every 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
As a population, we have a tendency to overeat. And so it's recognizing eating until you're full rather than eating till you're stuffed.
Smaller plates as well, maybe.
Yeah, smaller plates definitely helps. Or what I say is, if you're making your lunch at home, take half, eat it as a late morning snack, and then eat the other half 3 to 4 hours later.
Oh, okay.
So divide the meal. And remember, you don't have to finish everything on your plate, especially when you eat out.
Yeah, I couldn't manage it in the States. I tell you, the starter, I was stuffed on the starter. I don't know how they managed to eat all that stuff. Right, so absolutely amazing, and thanks very much for spending this. We've got to draw it to a close there, but thanks ever so much for joining me. I hope people find this. I mean, I'm fascinated by nutrition, as you know, but I hope the people have learned something there. Now, you've got a workshop coming up soon as well, where if people are interested to actually find out a lot more, they can spend. Is it a morning with you?
Yeah, it's the morning, so it's 2.5 hours with me on a Saturday. But they get to learn all the basics of how to stay healthy, tackle any maybe digestive issues that they may have, tackle any immune related issues they may have. So how we can use food to basically increase your energy levels, eat better, feel better.
Excellent, and that's the 27th of April, isn't it?
Yes, and starts at I believe 10 a.m.
Yeah, okay. What I'll do is I'll put a link up to that when I put this video up, so at least if people are interested, they can go and have a look at that if they want to.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm always happy to answer any questions anyone has about nutrition, because I can go on and on and on about it. So
You can.
anytime, anywhere, Twitter, Facebook, email, phone,
Excellent.
I'm connected. So
Absolutely fantastic, and thanks ever so much for sharing that knowledge with us. And I'm definitely going to be there on the 27th, so you've got one customer already.
awesome. I
All
look
right.
forward to it, Chris. Thank you very much for having
Cheers.
me.
Thanks
All
now.
right, cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.